Macro photography is something I'd usually do using manual focus with an EVF and a big bulky 105mm lens. So the Nikon ZMC105 f2.8S lens, for instance, delivers a 1.1 reproduction ratio, which means the image is as big on the sensor as it is in real life. The GR4 is a 28mm equivalent snap shooter. It has no viewfinder, so true macro photography is a bit of a challenge, but you might be surprised how capable it is. In normal mode, it can focus down to about 10 centimeters from the lens, and when you hit up on the D-pad, it can focus down to just 6 centimeters in front of the lens, giving a 0.35 magnification. I went to the rose garden in Regent's Park when it was in full bloom to put the camera through its paces, get some flower shots, and see whether I could capture any wildlife. I had a lot of fun in Regent's Park. For the settings, I was using positive film. I used a bit of cinema yellow at the start and found that it was kind of slightly altering the colours. And I think what you really want when you're doing flower photography is to try to preserve as much as possible what the scene was really like. So if you look on this photo here, we just go to Adobe Color. I think this is quite a good flat profile. If we go to camera positive film, what we're doing is we're slightly deepening the contrast. We're darkening down the blacks. I really like what it does to the richness here. If you wanted a perfectly flat image to work from, of course you can go to Adobe Color. But I do like what positive film does here. So for settings, I was using 1/1000th of a second for some of the shots. It's a bit of a trade-off because actually when you're this close up, the aperture often needs to be bumped up. You get a razor thin depth of field. As you can see here, this is a f2.8 lens. We've got this in focus here, sharp, and then even out here we've already got really significant blur. So the closer up you go, the thinner your depth of field is. If you're focusing down, this would have been probably at about 10 centimeters. So I would go for, if I could, at f5.6. This was f2.8. Try to keep the ISO down because it does get noisy on the GR4 or any of the GR cameras. And shutter speed, I think if you're talking about an insect in flight, probably you do want 1,000th of a second or something thereabouts. But while they're on the flower, even if I show you a different photo, there was a photo I thought would come out great. I was really looking forward to seeing the shot, and I think we are focused in here, but you can see we've just got a bit of motion blur. I think what was happening was you've got to account for the insect's movement, but you've also got to account for the movement of any wind. Even with a tripod, you're often going to find that the flower itself is going to move. So unfortunately, it is a bit of a trade-off. Here I was at f8 and I'd brought down my shutter speed to 1/320th, and I didn't really freeze the action there, unfortunately. To go back to the white balance, I think that's the other side of it. If you've got something like this, which is you've got your pink and green, changing the white balance is going to make a huge difference to how the photo is perceived. Equally, if you warm it up, you bring out a completely different tone in the pink. This is much more kind of buttery pink, and you get a kind of cooler, almost grey pink. I think probably it did feel warmer than that on the day, so you might want to go more like here, 5100. So I've shifted it a bit towards the yellows. If I show you the before and after, it's probably more like that. So the auto white balance doesn't always get it right. One thing you'll notice is that I'm often underexposing. I think light and shadow is really important when you're doing flower photography, and the easiest thing in the world is to blow out the flowers themselves. So I'd much rather let the darkness fall, and it takes away some of that busier parts of the background. This might be a good example. I'm focused in here. I think focusing in on the anthers and where the bees are going to get their pollen is probably a bit like focusing on an eye. It doesn't matter if you've got a couple of petals out of focus, because this is the bit that our eye will sort of first see as sharp. I took this at f4 and 1/500th of a second. But one of the things that really helps to define the flower is to have this really dark patch in the background. So it's really popping out. You can do highlight weighted metering on Ricoh GR. It works really, really well. And then you're not going to blow any of the detail in what are often the brightest parts of the frame. Obviously, the whole point of a flower is to attract insects to help pollinate it. So they'll be bright in parts of the spectrum that our eyes can't see, but they're going to be pretty bright very often in the visible part of the spectrum as well. So what you want to probably do is err on the side of caution. Either do matrix metering and then underexpose by a stop, or use highlight weighted metering, which is probably my preference. And you can always bump the exposure again. This is where we were when I got the raw file out, and I just bumped it to about 0.4. And you can see here on the histogram I'm not losing any detail, but a lot of the image is dark, and that's focusing in on this central subject and these supporting subjects here. Tiny movements can make a huge difference to the framing. So if I show you one of these are pretty much the same flowers. You can see how even just getting a tiny bit closer starts to fill the frame at the top, but then we start to lose this. These would probably differences of maybe 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters. And this is one of the things where lacking a viewfinder can make a big difference, because you really need to be able to see the screen in order to frame up your image properly. It's not always about getting as close as possible. I took a couple of photos I really liked that I actually think are better off having some context, having these beautiful flowers in the foreground and then rolling off and having these kind of cypresses in the background. It makes it feel almost like it could be somewhere in south of France or Tuscany. It gives it a really nice kind of set of context for the flowers. Sometimes if you just do one big, very central composition, I like this little bee butt, but sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming to do a big central composition like this, unless you're really doing it for kind of botanical purposes, just to capture the flower itself. It doesn't often make for great photography. So one of the big things is trying to get sharp insects, and it can be a really tough thing. As I was saying with light and shadow, you want the bright flowers against the dark backgrounds ideally. If you've got an insect like a honeybee or a wasp, which is mostly actually quite dark, ideally you want to frame it up against a bright flower. So I really like this shot because you've got the bee going over the outside of the flower, and it's really clear. You can see its little pollen sacs, you can see the lovely detail across the wings. What's absolutely perfect is when you can get a bit of shine on the eye. Now some people will do this with flash. I prefer not to use flash because I'm trying to annoy the insects as little as possible, and when you're doing macro photography with the GR, unfortunately you're going to have to get like uncomfortably close. So 6 centimeters from the insect itself while it's trying to forage is going to feel pretty close. This one I think came up really well, and I managed to get it almost completely vertical on the flower. We've got a really nice bit here. I'll just show you what I might do with masking. So I'll delete this and start again and show you. So one thing I might do would be to take a radial gradient, just a general one. I'd go quite wide, but then I would feather it down quite narrow, so it's going to blend for longer and it's going to look a bit more natural. I'm going to increase the texture quite a bit and increase the clarity to, let's say, 18. So give you before and after. It's quite subtle. I'll go in on 100. Before, after. Just bringing out all those cool little bits of pollen on its thorax. And then what I might do is to right click, duplicate and invert mask. So now I've got a bit of everything else, and just decrease the exposure a little bit. Not loads, but let's say 0.44. So this is before, this is after, before and after. And then I might create a third mask, and in this one I'm going to do an object select. Take our insect, and maybe reduce, subtract. They've added some extra bits of flower on there, so let's just do that. And then just increase the whites, darken down the blacks just by 5 or 6, and raise the shadows by about 20. So if I go in 100 again, I'll show you. This is before and this is after. So the white is just going to add to this kind of, these little gleaming highlights that are coming down. So if I do all the masks, this was before, this was after. It's really just adding definition. Often insects will have a lot of texture, bees and wasps and things. This is before, this is after, and I think it gives it a much clearer focus. So the last thing to say is, with the Ricoh, you're not going to be auto-focusing on, there's a damselfly here. I mean, I'm trying to capture, I get as close as I can. This has been pretty heavily cropped in. And I did manage to catch it, but these things are quick. This was at 640th of a second. I had to get, to get a butterfly, I'm kind of starting from pretty far away, gradually coming closer and closer and seeing how close I can get without bothering it, basically. But your hit rate is going to be really, really low. Probably would bring a spare battery. I think you shouldn't really be expecting to grab anything in flight unless it's something where you've pre-focused and you know that something's going to land there. So I quite like this one. This must have been hovering because it's only 1/250th of a second. But what I did have as an advantage was having it at f9. This is on an APS-C sensor. So f9 gives you greater depth of field than a full frame sensor would. And in that respect, an APS-C camera is actually in some ways better equipped for those really, really close-up shots than a full frame camera would be. So I definitely wouldn't underestimate the GR. I'm really pleased with the photos I've got. I think there's some here that have come out really beautifully. I'm really consistently amazed at how sharp the lens is. Even at that macro distance of 6 centimeters, you can get some amazingly sharp shots. This, if I show you what it was straight out of the camera, this is it with no masks on. Before I made any adjustments at all, this was the photo. It was highlight weighted. You got a little bit of non-distracting leafy background. I really like this sort of supporting flowers here. And then you've got this beautiful white rose with a bee on top. And let no one say that you have to have a viewfinder or you have to have a 100mm lens. It can be done. But obviously try to be as respectful as possible to the wildlife. Personally, I wouldn't use a flash for that reason, and I wouldn't make any sharp movements. Try and respect the fact that they're trying to go about their jobs and gather some nectar while they can. If you enjoyed this, remember to subscribe, it really helps me out. Have a good one.